The last thing my brother said before he disappeared was, "6 weeks, Claire. That's all I need." He left 2 suitcases in my hallway, kissed his children goodbye, and handed me a sealed envelope. 7 years later, I was still raising those children. I had stopped wondering whether my brother was dead. I had decided he was worse than dead. He had abandoned us. Then one Tuesday morning, while making pancakes before school, I heard a familiar voice coming from the television. I dropped the plate in my hands. Because my brother was standing on the screen, alive, smiling, under a different name. And beside him was a woman the reporter called his wife. My name is Claire Morgan. 7 years earlier, my brother Mark showed up at my apartment with his 8-year-old daughter Mia and his 5-year-old son, Lucas. It was nearly midnight. He looked exhausted. "Why are the kids wearing pajamas?" I asked. "Because they're staying with you." I laughed. Mark didn't. He had accepted an overseas consulting job. 3 months, he said. Maybe less. Their mother had died 2 years earlier, so Mark had been raising them alone. I wouldn't ask if I had another choice. Mia stood behind him, clutching a stuffed rabbit. Lucas was already asleep against Mark's shoulder. I sighed. 3 months? Probably 6 weeks. Then he hugged me, longer than usual. Before leaving, he pushed a brown envelope into my hand. "Keep this somewhere safe." "What is it?" "Just paperwork." Something in his eyes made me uncomfortable. "Mark, what's going on?" "Nothing." "Then why are you acting like you're never coming back?" He smiled. But I knew my brother. It was the smile he used when he was terrified. He kissed Mia on the forehead. Then Lucas. And walked out. Mia ran to the window. "Daddy!" Mark looked back once. He lifted his hand, then disappeared into the rain. For the first week, he called every night. He asked about school. He listened to Lucas describe dinosaurs. He promised Mia he would bring her something from every country he visited. Then the calls became shorter. After 3 weeks, they stopped. His phone went straight to voicemail. I emailed. Nothing. I contacted his company. They told me Mark had resigned unexpectedly. I called hotels, embassies, hospitals, even the police. Nobody could tell me where he was. That was when I remembered the envelope. Inside was temporary guardianship paperwork, a copy of Mark's life insurance policy, his bank information, and a handwritten letter. "Claire, if things take longer than expected, please take care of Mia and Lucas. Tell them I love them. Whatever happens, none of this is their fault. Mark." I read it 3 times. Then I became furious. He had known. Whatever he was doing overseas, Mark had known there was a possibility he wouldn't return. And he had left me with no explanation. Weeks became months. Every evening Mia asked the same question. "Did Daddy call?" Every evening I said no. Eventually, she stopped asking. Lucas forgot the sound of his father's voice. The first Christmas without Mark, Mia left a present under the tree for him. A blue scarf. "He'll be cold when he comes home," she said. The scarf stayed there until February. I finally packed it away while she was at school. The second year was harder. Lucas started calling me Mom by accident. The first time it happened, he froze. "I'm sorry." I went into the bathroom and cried where he couldn't see me. By year 3, I became their legal guardian. I worked extra shifts. I learned how to braid Mia's hair badly. I sat through parent-teacher meetings. I held Lucas through stomach flu. I learned who needed quiet when they were upset and who needed to be hugged. I missed vacations. I ended relationships. I built my entire life around 2 children I had never expected to raise. And slowly, my fear for Mark turned into anger. If he was dead, I wanted proof. If he was alive, I wanted to know how he could sleep at night. 7 years passed. Mia was 15. Lucas was 12. Then came that Tuesday morning. I was flipping pancakes when the morning news started. The reporter was talking about a new charity helping children separated from their parents. I almost changed the channel. Then I heard the founder speak. Sometimes a child spends years waiting for someone who never comes home. My hand stopped. I knew that voice. I turned around, and there he was. Older, thinner, gray at his temples, but unmistakably Mark. The caption beneath him read, Julian Cross, founder, the Bridge Foundation. Julian? I stepped closer. The reporter smiled. Julian is joined today by his wife, Rachel. A beautiful woman walked into the frame. She took Mark's hand. Then a little boy, maybe 4 years old, ran toward him. Mark picked him up. The boy wrapped his arms around his neck. My stomach turned. Lucas walked into the kitchen. Aunt Claire? I switched off the television. Too late. He had seen him. Lucas stared at the black screen. Was that Dad? I couldn't speak. Mia came downstairs. What happened? Lucas looked at her. Dad's alive. The silence that followed was worse than screaming. Mia shook her head. No. I saw him. No. He was on TV. Mia looked at me, and I knew she could see the truth on my face. Her eyes filled with tears. He has another family? I don't know. He left us for another family? Mia. She grabbed her backpack. Don't. Then she walked out. That afternoon, I searched the name Julian Cross. There were interviews, photographs, articles. He had been living only 4 hours away. 4 hours, for years. I found out the charity was hosting a fundraising event that Friday. I bought a ticket. I didn't tell the kids. Friday night, I stood at the back of a crowded hotel ballroom. Mark was on stage. He spoke about family, about loss, about second chances. Every word made me angrier. When the applause ended, I waited near a side hallway. Then he walked through the door. He saw me and stopped. The color disappeared from his face. Claire? I slapped him. People turned. I didn't care. 7 years, he whispered. Please. 7 years, Mark. Security started toward us. Mark raised his hand. She's my sister. The words hit me harder than I expected. I started crying. You don't get to call me that. He led me into an empty conference room. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I asked the only question that mattered. Why? Mark sat down. When I took that overseas job, I discovered the company was moving millions through fake accounts. I copied records. I thought I could report it quietly. He looked at the floor. I was wrong. He told me someone had followed him. He received photographs of Mia leaving school, pictures of Lucas at a playground, pictures of my apartment. My skin went cold. They knew about us? Yes. Mark contacted investigators. He agreed to testify. They relocated him, changed his name, cut almost every connection to his old life. That explains months, I said. Maybe even a year. Mark closed his eyes. I know. How long before you were free to contact us? He didn't answer. Mark. 3 years. My heart dropped. 3 years. I stared at him. So the other 4? His eyes filled with tears. Fear. No. Claire. Cowardice. He nodded. Yes. He didn't fight me, and somehow that made it hurt more. He told me that after 3 years, the immediate danger was gone. He could have contacted us. But by then, Mia and Lucas had built a life with me. He watched from a distance. He knew where we lived. He knew what school they attended. He even knew Mia played violin. You watched them? I was scared that if I came back, I would destroy everything. So you built another family instead? Mark flinched. Rachel had met him 4 years earlier. She knew his real name. She knew he had children. But Mark had told her that I refused to let him contact them. My hands began shaking. You blamed me? I was ashamed. You made me the villain because you were too afraid to tell your own wife the truth? The door opened. Rachel stood there. Apparently she had heard enough. Her face was pale. You told me Claire threatened to disappear with the children. Mark stood. Rachel, did she? No. Rachel stared at him, then slowly removed her wedding ring. I need some air. She walked away. Mark covered his face. For the first time that night, I didn't feel angry. I felt tired. What do you want from us? I want to see them. No. He looked up. Claire, you don't get to walk into their lives because you finally got caught. I'm their father. And I was there. My voice broke. I was there when Lucas broke his arm. I was there when Mia cried because no father came to the school dance. I was there every birthday when they looked at the door, even though they pretended they weren't waiting. Mark cried silently. I continued. You left 2 children with me for 6 weeks. I pointed toward the ballroom. 7 years later, you were on television talking about children waiting for parents who never come home. He whispered, I know. No, Mark, you don't. I left, but I told the kids the truth, all of it. Lucas wanted to meet him. Mia didn't. So I refused to force either one. Mark wrote letters, 1 every week. For 2 months, Mia never opened hers. Lucas read every one. Eventually, Lucas agreed to meet him at a park. I sat 30 feet away. When Mark approached, Lucas stared at him for a long time. Mark started crying. Lucas didn't. Finally, Lucas asked, Why didn't you come back when you could? Mark lowered his head. Because I was a coward. Lucas nodded. At least he had finally told the truth. 3 months later, Mia opened her first letter. 6 months later, she agreed to speak to him. Their conversation lasted 9 minutes. When she came back to the car, her face was wet with tears. What did you tell him? I asked. She stared through the windshield. I told him he doesn't get to be my dad because he came back. She wiped her eyes. He gets to earn it. I reached for her hand. She squeezed mine. Mark never moved back into their lives. Not the way he wanted. He came slowly. A school concert, a basketball game, coffee with Mia, Saturday afternoons with Lucas. There were good days. There were terrible days. And there were questions he would probably spend the rest of his life answering. But one thing changed forever. For 7 years, I believed Mark's disappearance had destroyed our family. I was wrong. It had created a different one. One built from packed lunches, midnight fevers, arguments over homework, Christmas mornings, broken hearts, and thousands of ordinary moments. Mark was their father. Nothing could erase that. But while he was gone, I had become home. And sometimes the person who comes back after 7 years isn't the person who was lost. Sometimes they're simply the person who finally has to face everything that happened while they were gone.